An assessment of the Cropover Festival, which ended with a grand parade on Monday. Ongoing efforts to address the island's milk shortage. Concern expressed about the labeling of a teenager as a mental patient.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. We begin with that assessment of this year's Cropover Festival, which was a significant one as it marked the 50th anniversary of the festival. While officials say the level of participation has been high, there has been much discussion about if it has lived up to expectations. Joining us now to talk about these issues and more is Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture, Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight. Minister, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Pearson.
What is your overall opinion of this year's Cropover Festival? What generally are the highlights and some lowlights?
Okay. And I hope that when we are speaking to the Cropover Festival, that we're doing so in totality, right? If we listen to some people, the Cropover Festival amounts to about 4 activities that happen within a small space of time. My assessment of the Cropover Festival is from the launch right to culmination. And last night we had an exciting Soca 5.0, which from all reports, people have said was one of the best shows ever for the entire season. Reportedly over 11,000 persons online alone, and then thousands upon thousands of Barbadians coming out, trusting the National Culture Foundation to deliver a high quality. So Pearson, I would say that there have been some lows in terms of execution of particular events, and those are things that the ministry and the National Culture Foundation will need to be able to step back and to take a hard look at. But at the same time, if we judge the totality of the festival from the start, if people remember how we started in Bridgetown with all of those intangible cultural heritage elements on display. We started going back with the old-time Bajan calypsos, re-concerts again, and people go back to pandemonium. If we look at what the National Culture Foundation has done in terms of its junior cadumate and the investment that has been made there in terms of working with schools in order to help students to understand the way about the creativity that goes on in terms of costume making. And then you see that displayed in terms of junior cadumate. Nobody's talked about junior cadumate. That's an important part of the festival as well. That was well executed, yeah? So as you said, Pearson, some highs and some lows, but overall, for us, some things that we have to step back, but we see the festival as being a success. Again, if you go to Grand Kadumit, yes, we had a 2-hour late start, and I hope that people are recognizing now that while the NCF has been a little bit silent, that decision was one that we took based on and expressed concerns that were raised and identified. But then everybody reported having a good time on the road, satisfaction with the new route as well. So that day also as well as a success. I hope that people will be fair and look at the entire festival and not just 4 events. Again, no excuses. Those events are premier events that we did not necessarily meet the mark on, and those are the things that we need to be able to fix.
Let's talk a little bit about what it looked like, because there were also some complaints about what people consider to have been lewd behavior or outfits that left a lot to the imagination or little to the imagination, and how that tied in line with what is our culture. What's your view on that?
Pearson, that's one of the big conversations that we need to have coming out of this Cropover Festival, and certainly is one that we want to be able to engage with the band leaders, but with the whole society, right? It's again, when people talk about the Cropover vibe, and we ask ourselves, so what's that vibe, right? It's the vibe only the party, it's the only the facts, it's the only kadumit, it's the only kadumit day. And I think how we are changing our societies, our societal values, again, about what is acceptable and what isn't. And then the level of creativity that we want to be able to imbue and to see on the road. Again, big conversation. Remember I said we're investing at the school level to make sure that we get people that are coming up, young people that are coming up from primary schools, again, to understand the basics of it, to delve into more creative elements of it. And we're hoping then that, over time we can see a change. But it's a reflection of society.
Let's talk venues now.
And again, that's what I said, big conversation.
Indeed, I agree. Let's talk venues now, because that too was also a big conversation. The rain impacted the hosting of some events, outdoor events, and now the call is being made also by Anthony Gabby Carter, the most honorable, of a need for a venue that would be able to at least cater to 5,000 people comfortably. Is that also part of the conversation? Do you believe that has to happen?
I think so, right? The issue of having proper venues to facilitate, shows that are going to be ready is something that has been engaging the government, right? So already we are looking at sites where we can have performance arts shows that is ready, equipped, and just set up to facilitate just that, right? And large audiences. But that's an investment over time that we will have to make. And again, looking for appropriate sites. So that's something that is already under consideration and that we're looking for. And again, across the island there. But I don't want people to also, dismiss the value of, yes, having some nice open air green sites as well, which we're going to have to contend with the weather. There are particularly within the season that the Cropover Festival falls within. So that balance of both, yes, having ready, equipped indoor facilities, but also as well, still maintaining some elements of being outside and just also enjoying that atmosphere as well.
You spoke of the word season, and also ties in the Cropover with the season of emancipation. Do you get the sense that one is competing with the other, or is there synergy now?
We're working towards synergy. I can honestly say I don't think that we've gotten it, 100% right. I think once Cropover gets into full swing, then the season of emancipation kind of takes a little bit of a backseat, to be very honest with you. So I think that we do have much more work to do there. But we also, as well, and I say we as a team within the division of National Culture Foundation, we don't try to compete, so that Cropover has its space on the calendar, and we recognize that. I think what we have to focus on is engendering, those kinds of conversations, the education about the why. Up to today, somebody sent me something about, do you remember why it was called Kadooment, right? Letting people understand a little bit more about the history, a little bit more about the why. And I think that if we can do that, it can engender those conversations on a greater level of sensitivity in terms of, again, as you asked, what we put out on the street for Kadooment Day, the elements of the season that people value as well. And again, not just the Kadooment, not just the shows, but all of the elements. We've had a successful exhibition that's been going on that's part of the Cropover Festival as well, right, for visual arts. Again, nobody is talking about that, but that's also part of the festival as well. So getting people to fully embrace all aspects of the festival is something I think that we will work on to do a little bit better.
I appreciate that. Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight, thank you so much for your time this evening. We know it's valuable, and we really appreciate your coming in to give your perspective on the just concluded Cropover season. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Senator Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight, the Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture. In related news, Tune of the Crop winner for 2024, Bruce Lee Almighty, is still reveling in the success of his song Tomorrow. Known for his fun songs, he says he's already preparing for next year and wants to be embraced by the public as a more serious soca artist.
You know how much people was rooting for me in this song? Like, when I was jumping Kadooment there, people were saying, you win, congrats, congrats, congrats. Whole day, tourists, Bajans, everybody. So it was a good feeling. In 2022, I did the comedian side of me by doing a song named Marby, but I said, 2024, let me do something different, Let me touch some heartstrings, because life is too short. So let me enjoy life today, and, because tomorrow is not promised.
Well, coming out of Cropover, we're being told that Barbados is one of 2 countries to benefit from the construction of a school dedicated to the arts and entrepreneurship. American entertainment reporter A.J. Calloway made the disclosure as he participated in Grand Kadooment on Monday. The well-known celebrity is using his 50th birthday tour, which spans several countries, to raise funds for the institutes.
So what I'm doing is I'm building schools for arts and entrepreneurship. I know that all of our kids want to do stuff within the music industry, and they want to make money. So I'm teaching them how to do both. And I'm opening one in Ghana, and I committed already that the second one will be here in Barbados. There's so much beauty and culture and music here. Imagine if we actually cultivated it and brought the best of the best here to teach Bajans how to be the best.
In other news now, concerns about a shortage of milk should soon be addressed. This as scores of cows in calf will be imported into the island in a matter of weeks. Chief Executive Officer of the BAS, James Paul, delivered the good news on the sidelines of a Pinnacle Feeds seminar at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre.
Next month, a shipment of 180 cows in calf will arrive on the island from Canada. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says this move is a major step in resolving the country's milk shortage.
We are progressing in terms of the importation of those cows. We are hoping that by September of this year, which is next month actually, that we will have those cows in place because we're hoping to get them in as soon as possible. And hopefully, I would say that, that those cows that are being imported, they will have an impact on milk production by January, which we are trying as much as possible to try to augment the island's milk supply.
Mr. Paul says, in addition, the Ministry of Agriculture will be offering technical support to farmers.
What is important is that we want to put measures in place that the genetics that we are bringing in, that we take maximum advantage of those genetics. So, for instance, we aftercare, all of those things, we want to make sure that when they come, that we have things in place. And that is why I mentioned the issue of the veterinary assistant that's going to be very important. As a matter of fact, we may have to even go to the government or one of the international agencies to make sure that we bring in veterinary assistance to assist the farmers in the case that we run into any difficulties.
Earlier this year, Agriculture Minister Indarwir encouraged farmers to take advantage of a $2 million revolving loan fund being facilitated through the BAS. Approximately 8 people have applied for loans, and Mr. Paul has urged those in the industry to take advantage of the incentive.
We have these loans and we are looking through them, and we, of course, will work with the farmers to help them to provide that information that is required. In a very detailed way, we work with them because there are certain things that are mandated that you have to provide, and farmers will receive assistance. And we will be working with them to try to ensure that those loans are actually paid back.
Mr. Paul stresses government's intention is for the loans to be used to improve farming operations and overall agricultural production. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Well, in response to concerns from local farmers, Pinnacle Feeds Limited is reintroducing pig starter feed to the market. Feed plant manager John Gardner says the product, which was last produced in 2002, has been specifically designed to meet the digestive requirements of a young animal. Mr. Gardner made the announcement to distributors at the Pinnacle Feeds seminar.
I do anticipate that it should be a success as it was before. I don't anticipate that many of the challenges that farmers currently have with digestive disturbances should be eliminated. So we are looking forward to the end of the month when we return this product to the market, and I'm sure the farmers will be happy.
Mr. Gardner says Pinnacle Feeds wants to ensure piglets are managed well at this critical stage.
We have challenges where management-wise, these animals are not exposed to the perfect environment. Maybe the pen may be wet, and they'll be prone to digestive upset. We just want to make sure that the quality of the product that they consume does not exacerbate the challenge.
Concern about the continuing stigma associated with mental health. The labeling of a young woman who absconded from the psychiatric hospital as a mental patient has been described as unfortunate. The institution's senior consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Brian McLachlan, spoke exclusively with Sharika Griffith.
In a release dated August 6, 2024, the Barbados Police Service asked for the public's help in locating mental patient Jade Barnett. The teenager had reportedly escaped from the female admissions ward of the psychiatric hospital about 5 p.m. on Monday, July 29th. Several social media users took issue with the tone of the release. And now senior consultant psychiatrist Dr. Brian McLachlan is also voicing concerns about the use of the term mental patient, as he notes the ongoing stigma associated with mental health in general and people who access the psychiatric hospital.
The average person hearing that, then what image does that conjure up? And unfortunately, it is, someone being totally out of control, perhaps, not able to control themselves. And now, of course, they've escaped, and that word, they've escaped from the hospital. And therefore, it's almost as if it's telling people, go and lock your doors and windows and so on, because there's a very unstable person on the loose. And that's very unfortunate.
The young woman's father is quoted in another section of the media as saying she was remanded to the institution during a court appearance. Dr. McLachlan explains what happens in such instances, starting with an assessment by staff on the ward.
They will see social work and psychology, may see occupational therapy. So a number of assessments are done. And after that, then we compile a report. A report is done back to the magistrate with regards to what is the assessment, what did we assess as needs for this individual, and what are the recommendations. Some of the things we would have started sometimes when a person has been admitted already, and either we will say the person needs to stay a bit longer in hospital, or they can be discharged, and that there is a care program, outpatient program that has been set up for them in terms of whether or not, do they need to have medication, do they need counseling, do they need anger management, do they need drug rehabilitation,
He also sought to dispel myths about the use of drugs, as he notes the care and treatment is not the same for all patients.
I think a newspaper article today in which there was a concern that specific types of treatment were then going to be given to this individual is really not what happens. I mean, treatment is tailored for the individual and for the individual needs. And concerns about medication. In some instances, we're not using medication for persons. Some people do get medication. So it's not one size fits all at all.
The psychiatric hospital has rolled out several programs, including the Check My Bias campaign, in an effort to raise awareness about mental health and break the stigma. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
More people are taking an interest in the courses offered at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology. And Principal Ian Drakes says already for this year, all courses are fully subscribed with over 500 students. He says there are a number of people on a waiting list to start classes on August the 26th.
Normally we send out acceptance to persons. You get a percentage, about 1 or 2% not accepting. That has not been the case this year. So the standby persons are literally still on standby because those who were offered the opportunity have accepted and are knocking to get into SJPA because of the various dynamic, not only traditional, but the dynamic emerging courses like electric vehicles, photovoltaic, and persons are getting jobs.
Mr. Drakes says several of the students on job attachment are asked to send formal letters of application to become permanent members of staff following their training. He says the electrical and air conditioning and refrigeration fields are thriving, and he is now looking to include a third cohort in those particular fields. Additionally, the principal says more people are also returning to pursuing trades, which he says has been reinforced by the COVID-19 pandemic.
There was a decimation of the tourist industry, 80%. SJPI started to retrain hotel workers. Some hotel workers that were receptionists came and did landscaping and agriculture. And they said they ain't going back in the hotel sector. So the alternative of technical vocational education has shown persons that it is the boost to your economy. And I'm going to use two examples, Singapore and China. Technical vocational education has empowered them.
Time now for Sports Night, and I must tell you, you should have seen Anne-Marie Burke in office today when the race was on. It was electric. Anne-Marie, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Pearson. Yes, the entire newsroom was glued to the TV, yes. And we were keeping noise if we were in Paris. As Barbados' Olympic medal host, Sade Williams, is into the final of the women's 400 meters at the Paris Olympic Games. She was fastest of the non-automatic qualifiers from this evening's semi-final number 3 when she placed third in 49.89 seconds. The fastest qualifier was Salwa Eid Nasser of Bahrain, who was the winner of Heat 1 in a season's best 49.08 seconds. The most impressive semi-final run was by world champion Marlady Paulino of the Dominican Republic, who was first in Heat 2. Her time was 49.21 seconds. And that women's 400-meter final will be Friday, 2 p.m. Barbados time. Now, speaking after the race, Sade admitted that it was not as easy as she anticipated.
Well, I'm in lane 4, so of course I can see everyone in front of me. So I just try to focus on running my race and not race according to how they are running. I'm not too sure if I succeeded in that, but because I saw Casmara and Anim, so I saw them running super fast. So at the same time, I want to run my race, but I gotta make sure that they don't get too far ahead. And the race plan was to run from 150 and make it home. So I tried to do that, and of course my finish isn't as strong as theirs, otherwise I would have made it top 2. So yeah, I definitely have to work on my finish and I'll be good to go.
Williams feels good mentally and physically and has appealed to Bajans to throw their full support behind her come Friday.
Was it last Olympics when they did Sade Day? That was amazing, and seeing everybody come out in their shirts, their colors, and just represent, that was amazing. So to see that again, just make it a holiday, you know? But yeah, man, I know it will mean a lot to Barbados because you see Alfred and Gilafon bringing home a medal for their first Olympic medal for their country. So to be added to that list, that would mean the world to me. But if I'm being realistic, it's going to be tough. And I know it's going to be tough to medal, but I'm going to leave it all out on the track in the finals Friday.
Now, CBC TV will have a special Sade watch on Friday from 1:45 p.m. before the final with added analysis after the event. Well, CBC Sports took to the streets after Sade's semi-final run.
I think it was a good run race just now. She got the potential. I believe that she can do the best in the final.
Chances for the finals might be hard, but I think she ran a good race, but we just got to be glad that she qualified and we got representation in the finals.
The race was wonderful. Her chance, well, she was a little slow, but she just wanted to qualify. She can win. She's going to win. We are Barbados and we support her just like all the rest that support those from their countries. We are patriotic and we are rooting for Sade. Man, it was nice. She did her best. I think she could go much stronger as the finals come. I feel that Sade now ran a well-executed race. She ain't run too fast or she ain't run too slow. She just watched the two in front of her and she just ran to qualify. So it looked like she got more time. I think that she tried her best. She got good as she could.
And that's it for my first half, Pierce. So when I return, I have some more Olympic Games as well as cricket.
Our girl is speaking so well, isn't she, Anne-Marie?
Oh, yes, she is.
Confident. Love it. All right, Anne-Marie, thank you. We'll be right back with our business report in a moment. In business now, a call has been made for a longer Cropover festival. It has come from Chairman of the Bridgetown Revitalization Committee of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Eddie Abed. Trevor Thorpe reports.
The experienced businessman says the time has come for the planners and organisers to sit down and plan for the next 50 years of Cropover. He says the increase in the number of supporting events and the higher participation by the private sector are among the reasons for an extension of the festival.
I find it very difficult to understand how we can do so by having a one-day quote-unquote carnival. I think that we are at the stage where absolutely we need to explore the second day. And again, what I said before, if we could have a second day, that would drive even more traffic to retail stores for the events that will happen not now only over one day, but over 2 days. And most stores in the business of clothes, shoes, cosmetics, hair, etc. will tell you that apart from Christmas, Cropover is their second busiest season.
He says the heightened activity contributed to a greater demand for products and services.
Sales depends on events. So the more of these events that are on a calendar, the greater the opportunity for retail stores to complete a sale. So we're very, very happy with the Cropover season.
But Mr. Abed has complained about the lack of creativity in some areas.
It has become bikini and beach. And I don't know if that is the route I want to go. I know most of the carnivals in the Caribbean have become that. But we used to really have a lot of our local intrinsic artists being involved and bringing from canvas to the street their ideas. And I'm not seeing that anymore. And I'm hoping that maybe the NCF, through assisting or through giving a specific prize, can help in reviving that area, because I like to go and look at the section of Kaduma Day. This year I was not impressed. Yes, there were a few costumes that were different and exceptional, but generally it has become just an extension of Trinidad Mass.
The chairman of the Bridgetown Revitalization Committee says the increase in events and the support from the public augurs well for the future of the Cropover Festival. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Harris Paints has become the first paint manufacturer in the Eastern Caribbean to have its products tested and added to the approved product list by the Master Painters Institute. Headquartered in Vancouver, Canada, MPI is an institute dedicated to the establishment of quality standards and quality assurance programs, training and publication for the architectural paint and coating sector in the US and Canada. Now, according to officials, the achievement by Harris Paints proves unequivocally Caribbean manufactured products can surpass or be on par with global competitors and top international brands. Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing, Luke Tickner, says the results validate Harris Paints' long-standing commitment to providing top-quality products that are second to none. He points out the products approved are not just in one product line, but across 5 different categories, demonstrating this bench strength across the Harris Paints range. Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Victon Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 3,675,772 units was the volume leader, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited and Maybury Group Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, the West India Tobacco Company Limited was the volume leader, with 42,710 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $318,577.50, followed by Massey Holdings Limited. And here in Barbados, Government of Barbados Bonds Series B was the volume leader, trading 40,000 shares at Barbados $80 each, and they were followed by Emira Deposit Receipt.
Promised, Anne-Marie Burke is back with another look in sports. Anne-Marie.
I'll start with cricket news, as South Africa were 45 for 1 at the end of a rain-ruined first day of the first test against the West Indies at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad and Tobago today. Tony DeZorzi is unbeaten on 32 not out, while Jason Holder has the lone wicket for 2 runs. 2 is set for a 9:15 a.m. start, but showers have been in the forecast for the duration of the test match. Back to the Olympic Games, Roger Stoner upset his more fancied rivals to claim Jamaica's first ever Olympic men's discus gold medal at the Paris Games today. Stoner won the final at the Stade de France with an Olympic record throw of 70 meters, just 0.03 meters further than Lithuania's world record holder Majokas Alinka, who took the silver. Australian Matthew Denny clinched the bronze. And that's it for sports. Back over to you, Pearson.
3 letters, all in one word, wow. Well done. Yes. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we will see you tomorrow.